This is part 5. We have 16 minutes left. So he just went into day 6. There was a negotiation. Khalid knows that the Romans only want to talk when they're losing, and so let's see what happens. I heard Damascus for Jerusalem was one of the options.
When the sun came up, he swung it around. So now the Romans are trapped between his army and the 2 ravines. There was a bridge over the western ravine. During the night, he had sent 500 cavalry around through the plain. They had snuck down into the ravine, and they had captured the bridge. And his goal is to get the Romans to run towards the bridge, because there's nowhere to go, because the Muslims actually have the bridge, just the Romans don't know. And he comes swinging over the top, and he smashes the Roman left flank really hard. He breaks the Roman cavalry unit that was there, and he breaks the Roman army that was there. It's the cavalry unit and the army start to retreat. They're running in 2 other Roman units, sending them into disarray. And then the Romans try to respond with heavy cavalry. Vahan sees what's happening. He organizes cavalry. He draws it in, but it's heavy cavalry and it's slow. Khalid comes in with his light cavalry and he attacks them before they can get into formation, destroys them. Then he takes his cavalry and he slams it into the back of the Roman army. It breaks and goes into full retreat. And that's how he took 40,000 men against 120,000 men at Yarmouk and destroyed them. Vahan got away with a cavalry detachment. Khalid grabbed his fastest horses and his best men, and they took off and they chased General Vahan. And they caught up with him just outside of Damascus. And Khalid lets his men tear up Vahan's men until the only man standing is Vahan. And Khalid had told his men, don't touch him. And then he comes up to Vahan and he says, you are a man's man. And so I'm going to give you a man's death. And they dueled one-on-one, and he kills Vahan. And then Khalid goes and recaptures Damascus. Emperor Heraclius holds a council.
That ain't coming from me. That sounds like an airplane in the video.
And he asks his remaining generals, what should we do? And the generals tell him, we've lost Syria, it's done. There's nothing we can do about it. And so Heraclius gets on a ship and he says, farewell, Syria. You have been a lovely province, and now you will be a lovely province for the Arabs. And he withdraws. And that was the last time, second to last time, there was a Roman army in Syria. They'll get in one more time, but they don't really keep it for long. Khalid and his army now return to Jerusalem, which on this map is Hiroshima, in case you were wondering. And when they get there, the Romans have largely abandoned it. The Roman military has. But there's enough people manning the walls that you can't get in. So the Arab army is stuck outside, trying to figure out how to get inside so they can capture this holy city. The Archbishop of Jerusalem, a man named Sophronius, by the way, a Christian Arab.
Website visitors bouncing? Stress less. Convert more. Try Hotjar.
What the hell was that about?
We're giving away our $60 tactical backpack for no charge. You only have to pay the shipping. No hidden charges and no recurring fees. Just pay.
I'll pass. Thank you, though.
By the way, a Christian Arab, a loyal Roman citizen, indicates he's willing to negotiate, but only with Umar ibn al-Khattab, the Caliph. Well, the Caliph is all the way back in Mecca. It'll be weeks before he can be sent for and then return. So they come up with a scheme. And the scheme is,
I remember this.
Since Khalid is Umar ibn al-Khattab's first cousin, he actually looks like him. So they pretend Khalid ibn Walid is the Caliph. They meet with Sophronius, and while they're talking, somebody had actually met Umar ibn al-Khattab, had met Khalid ibn Walid and knew that was Khalid. And so he tells Sophronius, you're being duped, it's not really the Khalif, it's some other dude, it's that general that's been tearing us up. Sophronius is outraged. He goes, you lied to me, and he calls off the negotiations for the surrender. So now the Arabs are stuck getting the Khalif. Sophronius comes out of the gates weeks later to meet the Khalif because he sees the Khalif's army arrive. And as he's approaching, he sees a man leading a camel at the front of the army. So for the record, the rich Arabs, the Arabs who were good soldiers, didn't usually ride camels. They usually rode horses, Arabians. And for those of you who don't know, Arabians are fast and agile, and they have crazy personality. And so they're perfect for warfare. Camels are a little bit clumsy and slow. They serve a purpose in warfare, but you're better off on an Arabian. In any case, the Arab army is being led by a man leading a camel with a man on the camel. So Sophronius, he's got a giant red hat, because he's also a cardinal, right? He's got gold tassels, actual gold, hanging from his hat. He's covered in gold jewelry. He's wearing red robes. He's covered in perfume. He's on a lectica. The lectica was the couch that the Romans would ride, and then they'd have like 4 or 8 men, depending on how big it is, carrying it. And then he has 2 men, one on each side, fanning him. Of course, right? That's what Jesus would want from his bishops. That's exactly right. And he's coming out on this lectica being fanned. And he comes up to the guy on the camel, and he says, where's the Khalif? And the guy on the camel does like this. He nods with his head at the guy leading the camel. So Sophronius turns to the guy leading the camel and goes, where's the Khalif? And the guy leading the camel says, I'm the Khalif. And Sophronius goes, dude, you're dressed in rags. The guy's pants were mended multiple times. His shirt was mended multiple times. And he goes, no, I'm the Khalif. And Sophronius goes, you've just conquered Iraq and Syria and all of Palestine minus Jerusalem. How is it you're so poor? And the Khalif goes, well, why would I collect wealth? We're not doing this war because I'm trying to plunder anything. I'm a humble man with humble needs. I just need good meal. And then Sophronius goes, why aren't you riding the camel? And Omar goes, that's my servant on the camel, and we take turns so that neither one of us gets exhausted. At this point, Sophronius is like, oh, what? Who just conquered us? Are these Marxists?
That's got to be mind-blowing to find the servant on top of the camel, and you're thinking, what world are we in right now? So if that guy, if he's your servant, he's on top of the camel, then he's in the position of power. I'm going to negotiate with him.
And so Sophronius gets off the lectica because he's shamed off of the thing. And he says, okay, I want to talk to you about our surrendering the city to you. And the Khalif says, I have an idea. Let's walk to the city, and I'll tell you what I was thinking the terms would be. So we'll start there. And Sophronius goes, yes, of course. And as they're walking, Umar ibn al-Khattab says, why don't we do this? All Roman politicians leave Jerusalem. You just go, if you're a politician. So if you're a top bureaucrat, an officer, and you can take anything you can carry. So you can take gold, as long as you can carry it. And Sophronius goes, okay, that's reasonable. That's actually more than reasonable. I just assumed you'd enslave them and take their gold. I don't see how anybody would be mad about that. And then what else? And the Khalif goes, oh no, I was thinking that's it. We don't do anything else. And Sophronius goes, wait a minute, I am really confused. So when us Romans capture a city, we enslave a segment, we plunder the city, probably a little bit too much raping too. We might even burn some of it, just for grins and giggles, and then we declare it to be ours. What about that? And Ibn al-Khattab goes, no, we're not going to do any of that. No plundering, no raping, no enslaving. We don't do that stuff. And then Sophronius goes, oh, but you're going to seize property in the city. And the Caliph goes, no, we're not going to take anybody's property. We're going to leave the city exactly like it is. The only thing I want to do is eject the Roman politicians with whatever they can carry. And Sophronius goes, there's nothing to negotiate. Yeah, we surrender the city this instant. I don't understand, actually. They walk into the city. Khalid is one of the men following. Amr ibn al-As, all these guys, they're on foot. If they've got their horses with them, they're leading their horses by the reins, right? Because the leadership is on foot. There's no way they're going to ride in. They're walking. And this is a holy city to them, because Jesus is holy to them, because the Jews were holy to them. And so they see this as a holy city. Sophronius goes, tell me about your religion, as they're walking through the streets. And so Umar ibn al-Khattab starts telling him about Islam. Sophronius goes, it just sounds like a variation of Christianity. I feel like our religions are shockingly similar. And Umar ibn al-Khattab goes, yeah, because they are. I mean, we thought we were doing Judaism 3.0. It never occurred to us that we were going to be received as being so different. And he goes, okay, since you've given us such amazing surrender terms, my alarm is going off, and I can't turn it off, and it's so embarrassing. It's telling me to put my kids to bed. I should have remembered to turn it off, but it didn't occur to me. He says, you've given us such amazing surrender terms, and because I feel such kinship with your religion, will you do me an honor? Will you come to my church and pray in your Muslim way next to me as I pray in my Christian way? And Umar ibn al-Khattab goes, never. And Sophronius goes, why? He goes, I'm the Caliph. The first place I pray in Jerusalem is going to become a mosque. The Muslims will take it, and they will create a place of worship for Muslims, and you will lose it. And I don't want you to lose your church.
Wow.
And Sophronius goes, okay. What if we find an empty piece of Jerusalem and we just pray there? And Umar ibn al-Khattab goes, yes, I accept. An empty piece, something that nobody owns. So they go and they find an empty lot and they pray. The Archbishop in his Christian way, the Caliph in his Muslim way, side by side. It is a mosque today, that spot, commemorating the first place that the first Muslim Caliph prayed in Jerusalem. He nailed it. He knew what was coming. And he saved
That's amazing.
the Church of the Holy Sepulchre for Christians, because that's the church Sophronius wanted him to pray in. At that point, the Caliph says, I want to see the Temple Mount. And Sophronius goes, why? And the Caliph goes, because it's holy. It's holy to everybody. It's holy to Christians, it's holy to Jews, it's holy to Muslims. And Sophronius goes, nah, we haven't been treating it as holy to anybody. And Umar ibn al-Khattab goes, what do you mean? And so Sophronius says, so after we tore down the second temple of Solomon, when we conquered Palestine, we turned the Temple Mount into a garbage dump to punish the Jews.
Oh no.
And the Caliph goes, what do you mean? And Sophronius goes, yeah, there's like 500 years of refuse on that thing. It's just a garbage dump. And he goes, show me. They walk up to the Temple Mount, and the Caliph can't believe what he's looking at. He falls on his knees, and he begins clearing the garbage by his hands. His army sees their leader on his knees clearing garbage, and they run up, and they start clearing the garbage themselves. and they clear the garbage off the Temple Mount. The Caliph goes, okay, I want to meet some of the Jews living in Jerusalem. And Sophronius goes, there are no Jews in Jerusalem. And the Caliph goes, what do you mean there's no Jews in Jerusalem? The city is holy to the Jews. How can there be no Jews? And he says, well, us Christians, we pretty much murder them every chance we get. We really hate Jews. In fact, in the war we just did against the Persians, the Jews sided with the Persians. And so we murdered 20,000 Jews in Jerusalem and completely purged the city of its remaining Jewish population. And Omar ibn al-Khattab goes, no, this is wrong. You can't do this. And so he turns to a convert to Islam, a Jewish convert to Islam, and he says, I need you to find me 80 Jewish families that were willing to volunteer to move to Jerusalem so we can reestablish a Jewish presence in this city. And that's how the Muslims conquered Jerusalem. And that's the stuff that's left out of your history books.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? Because isn't that an amazing story? After Jerusalem,
It's actually kind of a very moving story. Just how appalled he was at the way they treated their site and the way they treated their people, or the way that the Jewish people were treated, and the way that their site was just, it's not holy. And yet when he came in, he wanted nothing but to make sure that the holy sites would stay that way. It's wow.
Jerusalem, Omar turns to Khalid and goes, I know you fought at Yarmouk, and I know you impersonated me. I really hate you. You're going to go to Mecca, and you're going to spend the rest of your days there. No more combat for you. I'm retiring you.
That's why.
Yeah, I actually don't think he died in Mecca. He did leave, but he never fought another battle. That was it. That was the end of his military career. He died in bed at age 50. I don't know what was ailing him. Something got him. And his final words were, you cannot put your hand anywhere on my body without touching a combat wound. I am covered in scars. It was my dream that God would let me die as a man on the field of battle. Here I am in a bed, dying like a cow. And that's where I'm going to end the story.
Wow, so he took away, his dream. You know, his dream was to fight. And he probably knew there would come a time when death was the last option, and he was okay with that. But to take that option away from him because he pretended to be him. Wow, I can't get that last story it's moving. So much respect. Wow. I don't really know what else to add to it, because there's nothing I can really say. Yes, that was That's probably one of all the things that I've ever seen, that probably has moved me the most. And then Khalid, you know, his last words and stuff like that. He's just cut from a completely different cloth. And I can't comprehend that. Makes me want to go and pay my respects to his grave. Wow. All right. I'm going to end it here. This is a great one. Man, I can't. Just that ending. Just going through and praying, and the way he you know, I expelled all the politicians and stuff, you know, I don't really know what else I can add to it. So I'm gonna end this here. This is great. I appreciate that. Until the next video, have a good day, have a good night. Go Khalid.